going on, everybody? So recently, a topic that has come up a lot on my channel are pre-war cards. And I wasn't really sure what other people would think of pre-war stuff, but I've had a huge amount of people reach out and ask me questions to really expand on and explain some more about pre-war cards, some players to target, and the different sets that are out there. So I just wanted to list for everyone 10 guys that I think are relatively affordable that are pre-war players. So first off, whenever we talk about pre-war, we're really talking about before 1940. We're talking about the guys from the late 30s and prior. Now, we all know of, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and, Ty Cobb and Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson, Cy Young. We know those big names, but there are some other really big names who have cards that are still very affordable. So I don't want to spend time talking about Ty Cobb on why we should be targeting Ty Cobb cards, because we already know that. We know we should be targeting Babe Ruth cards, and those cards are so expensive, they're very, very hard for most of us to afford. So these are the 10 players that I think really stand out as the top quality players pre-war that really still have affordable cards. Now, there are a couple of cards in, this video that I'm going to show you that have that are 1940, 1941. Now, I realize that those are not technically in the pre-war time frame, but they're players who the bulk of, or the majority of, or even all of their career was during the pre-war era. So there are a couple of cards in that 40-41 time frame, but the overwhelming majority of these are going to be the early 1930s and before. So 10 players that were outstanding players with very affordable cards still. That's what we're going to take a look at. That's what we're going to discuss. And I really want to know if there's a name that I didn't include that you think I should have included. Let me know in the comments below. But these are the 10 that I think we should all be targeting if we're interested in getting into pre-war collecting.
All right, so the first player I really think we should target is Eddie Collins, one of the best hitters of all time, over 3,300 career hits, career batting average of .333. And he had 6 world championships. He won 6 World Series. He was an AL MVP, and he also had 11 seasons that he batted .340 or above. I mean, and look at what his cards are. So we got a Gowdy here for about $180 in a 3 grade. You got his T206 for, $426. You got a T205. I mean, those are very affordable prices for one of the best hitters of all time, and cards that are, right around 100 years old. That, to me, is a really surprising price for one of the best hitters ever. So Mel Ott, one of the best power hitters ever. Now remember, he hit 511 career home runs when people were not hitting 500 home runs. 12-time All-Star, 6 times he led the league in home runs. 6! He had 8 straight seasons with 100 or more RBIs. And he's number 13 on the all-time RBI list, even still. Mel Ott. I mean, he was not a big guy. He was right around 5'9", 5'10". And, you can get his 33 Gowdy for about $400 in a decent grade. Now you got his play ball there, his 41 play ball. That's a little bit later for, $180. But all of these cards right around that 180 to 420 range for one of the best power hitters ever in an era where there weren't a ton of power hitters. I mean, he was toward the top of the all-time home run list for a really long time. Lefty Grove, one of the better pitchers ever, he won the Triple Crown twice. I mean, how often do you have people talking about Lefty Grove as an all-time great? But he was. 9-time AL ERA leader. He led the AL ERA 9 times. He won an MVP. 7 times led the AL in strikeouts. If you look at the all-time pitching WAR list, all time, like right now, all time, he's number 6. His wins against replacement is number 6 for pitchers all time. You look at his 34 Gaudy there, right around $560, and it's like, yeah, okay, $560 is a lot of money, but compare that to some of, like, you know, Sandy Koufax cards, or it's not that much. The Diamond Stars card there, now that's a pretty cool set as well, and it's affordable. I mean, under $150. I mean, these 3 cards, again, when I say something's cheap at $560, you say, oh, come on. But I mean, comparatively speaking, compared to, you know, other big names of that era, it's really very affordable. Jimmy Foxx won 3 AL MVPs. He won a Triple Crown. I mean, this guy won an MVP 3 times. 9-time All-Star. I mean, another insane hitter. He has 4 times won the AL home run title. 534 career home runs. Again, how many guys pre-war that spent a lot of their career in that pre-war time have over 500 home runs? Not very many, but Mel Ott and Jimmy Foxx are a couple of them. And you'd think for a guy that was this prolific of a hitter, one of the best power hitters of his era, that his cards would be more, but I mean, 33 Gaudy, and I think that's a decent looking card for under 500. You got a play ball here for $331. And then you look at a caramel card. There are a few caramel cards in here, and some of you would say, well, what about other cards? You know, I kind of went with play ball, Gaudy, T206, caramels. That's kind of where I focused it, but again, very affordable, in my opinion, for one of the best power hitters ever. I mean, when you're winning the home run title 4 times, you're not just an average guy. So another one, Grover Alexander. Now, how many people are sitting around their 4th of July barbecue last weekend talking about Grover Alexander as an all-time pitcher? But he was. He's number 5 all-time in pitching WAR. He won 3 Triple Crowns, has 373 career wins, won the NL wins title 6 times, won the NL strikeout title 6 times. I mean, this is the best pitcher of a generation. I mean, there's a decade where he's as good as there is. That's pretty unbelievable for a name that people don't talk about that often. Now, again, you'd think for a card that's 100 years old, over 100 years old, it would be more than $315. Now, he's got a play ball card from later on, and I know the play balls are early 40s, but under $80? I mean, it's not like it was during his prime, but it's still, you know. And then the Cracker Jack card. That Cracker Jack set is one of the coolest sets. And that one's a little bit pricier, but commons from the Cracker Jack set are a few hundred. So then you talk about one of the best pitchers of all time. I mean, according to WAR number 5, that's fairly reasonable price, I think. Again, when we look at the numbers and the highlights and the stats of these guys, these were the best players over like a 20, 30-year stretch. Now, Rogers Hornsby, career batting average of .358, who won 2 MVPs. He won 2 Triple Crowns. I mean, Triple Crown, that just doesn't happen. He did it twice. He won the batting title 7 times. And 4 times he won the RBI title. So he was not just hitting, he was productive. He was knocking runs in. He was winning Triple Crowns, so he's hitting home runs as well. I mean, again, one of the all-time greats, and you think, oh man, he played pre-war. His cards have to be, a couple $1,000s, right? No, they're not. They're very affordable. I mean, that's a decent looking Gowdy card for $335. Another right around the same amount. I mean, those are pretty well centered cards. Now, this next one's a little bit more expensive, mostly because the set is rarer than that 33 Gowdy set. But, when you look at the early Gowdy sets, those were a very popular set. You got the other one there, and it's, I don't know. That, to me, you're talking about an all-time great player. You're talking about not that much money. I mean, what's the cheapest mantle you can buy? It's probably more than a Rogers Hornsby Gowdy. Carl Hubbell, 2 times won the MVP as a pitcher, 9-time All-Star, 3-time NL wins leader, 3-time league MLB ERA leader. I mean, and also was a strikeout leader. So, I mean, he's doing all 3 things: wins, ERA, and strikeouts. I mean, a decade worth of All-Stars and 2 MVPs. Yet his 33 Gowdy in a 3. A nice looking card. It's under $400. And again, that Diamond Star set keeps coming up. And I love it. I mean, I think I included it several times because it's such a cool set. Under $150. Again, one of the best pitchers of this generation that we're referring to. And his cards are very, very affordable. Will they always be affordable? I don't know. Are they affordable because they don't have the big wow name like Cy Young? Maybe. Now, these last 3 guys were also terrific players and Hall of Famers, but I think have a little bit less of the name pop. She got Willie Keeler, career batting average of .341, won a couple of batting champs, stole a lot of bases, was an awesome bunter. He hit .424 one season, led the league in hits a few times. And he's a name that is kind of recognizable. One, because it's got kind of a ring to it, Willie Keeler, but also because, he had the DiMaggio hit streak record before DiMaggio. But his T206 card, I mean, if you get the quote unquote action shot of his T206, I mean, very affordable. And then, he's got a caramel card. I mean, and there are other sets, but again, I stuck with some of the bigger sets and more common sets and more popular sets when looking at these 10 guys. But I mean, for a Hall of Fame player, one of the best hitters and bunters and stolen base players of his generation, very affordable. Again, these last couple, you might recognize the names. Great players, Hall of Fame players, but they're not the Jimmy Foxx or Mel Ott name. You got an RBI leader, a batting title, career batting average of .316, won a couple of World Series. So Goose Goslin, his cards are very affordable. Now, I always am going to kind of direct you towards Hall of Famers, not necessarily because guys that didn't make the Hall of Fame aren't great. And there's his first card there for $182. But because there are a lot of people who just collect Hall of Famers. They want Hall of Fame runs from all the sets. So there's a lot more demand for the Hall of Fame players during this period. I mean, look at that card, $127. Again, it's $25 or so to just get the card slabbed. And then there's a much later play ball card. But so now we're talking about, a 100-year-old card almost for $100 for the card and $25 for the plastic when we're looking at some of those. And again, he's a Hall of Famer. So these people that are putting together, for example, a Gaudy Hall of Fame run, there's always going to be a demand for all of the Hall of Fame cards. Red Ruffing, another Hall of Famer, 6-time All-Star. Now, Red Ruffing just pitched and pitched and pitched. There were years he led the league in losses because of how many times he pitched, but he also had a lot of years he racked up a lot of wins. I mean, he led the league in wins once. He won 5 World Series 4 times. I think it might have even been 4 times in a row he had 20-plus wins. I mean, again, Hall of Fame player, prolific career. But then you start looking at, well, what's a Red Ruffing card go for? And it's like a couple $100. It's not like it's an authentic for a couple $100. I mean, that card's ungraded there, but again, that Diamond Star set, really cool set, under $100. And that one's like really good eye appeal, well centered. It is ungraded. And then the play ball. I mean, it's really incredible to me how affordable some of these cards are that are, 85 to 110 years old of Hall of Fame players that have some of the best stats and best careers of all time. And so if you're thinking about getting into this game of pre-war, these are the guys I would kind of look at.
So what do you think about that list? What do you think about those 10 guys? Are those guys that we should be targeting? Are they guys that maybe we shouldn't be targeting? But how amazed are you at how affordable some of these cards are when they're close to or over 100 years old, and they're all Hall of Famers. Every single one of them is a Hall of Famer, and some of them are among the all-time best players. Again, I didn't include Ty Cobb or, Nat Lajoie or Christy Mathewson or Cy Young because we know those names. And some of these names most of us knew or had heard of, but didn't really realize how great they were. But to me, this is that kind of second tier. If you're interested in getting into pre-war, and if you're interested in players that still have affordable cards, I think these are the 10 that I know I'm kind of targeting and I'm looking to pick up because they were all-time greats, and their cards that are 100 years old are still within a price range that most of us can be in.